DreAllDay.com. With DreAllDay.com. I'm gonna give y'all a business lesson here today, and I want to talk about the race hustlers. Yes, these are race hustlers. I'm not talking about activists. I'm talking about race hustlers, and this is a booming industry right now. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of attention to be grabbed. There's a lot of headlines to be written from people who are working in this industry. So let's talk about it. First of all, let me tell you, this is a book that I'm gonna give you for free. It's called The Mirror of Motivation. At the end of this video, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about this and how to get it for free. There's a link down below in the video description. But first, let's get to this. And oh yeah, let me let you know that at any point during this video, I want you to send me a text. Tell me the most valuable insight you get from what you hear today. My number is 305-384-6894. That number and link is also down in the video description. So what is a race hustler? What do I mean when I say race hustler? A race hustler is a person that used to be known as an activist. Or an activist is, let's just get a definition of activist. That's like the person who is, their whole thing is to, build the community. Their whole thing is about their job is giving service to the community because they want to see the community uplifted. This could be any kind of community. They're activists for Jewish people. They're activists for youth sports. They're activists for the elderly. They're activists for different religions. They're activists for different races. So I'm talking specifically the race hustlers today that are doing the most. And I say doing the most in both, it could be both a positive and a negative way, are people in the African American community. These are race hustlers. They used to be called activists because their whole thing was they're giving their life over to service of uplifting the community. And they make their money by, the community basically pays them to do what they do. You might not be able to get super rich doing it, but you could do all right because you're supported by the community that you support. That was the whole game. Now the game has changed a little bit. These days, now that we have social media, and now that we have a lot of the, what do we want to call it? Social justice has been revived. This conversation about social justice, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is not new. This is not a new topic. This is something people have been talking about since the 60s when Lyndon Johnson came into power and they started, the welfare state and all these programs to quote unquote help black people who were, kind of behind the 8 ball as opposed to where white people were at. And the conversation just goes up and down. It comes back and goes away, comes back, goes away over the years. Now we got, Biden, Kamala Harris in office. The conversation is revved up again, aided by the 2020 Summer of Social Justice with the death of George Floyd, the Breonna Taylor situation, and now we got this whole new wave of activists, actually race hustlers out here in the game. What does the race hustler actually do? Let me tell you what the race hustler poses as doing, then I'm going to tell you what they actually do. The race hustler poses as a person who is active in the community, trying to uplift and help the people of whatever community they happen to be a part of or whatever community they're aiming to support. What the race hustler is actually doing is they are leveraging the fact that there are a bunch of scared white people, not black people, and when I say race hustler, I'm talking about black people. They are leveraging the fear of white people and using that fear in order to get attention for themselves, which leads to them making money. This is a business for them. All right. Race hustle activism used to be, again, you are giving your life over to service. You knew you could make more money doing this, or this. You chose not to because you cared more about helping your community and giving service. That's what activism used to be. Now the race hustler is not about that. The race hustler is literally a hustler. This is about making money. And again, I'm not saying this to knock them. I would never knock anybody's hustle as long as it's legal. And this is a legal hustle. There's a lot of money to be made in this industry. What I'm giving y'all is a business lesson. So what these people do is that there's black folks, and you can probably name some of them yourself. There's a whole bunch of them. What they do is go find the white people who feel guilty about being white. White people who are apologizing for being white. White people who feel sad. They are disappointed in themselves when they announce something like Drew Brees said, "I'm going to stand for the national anthem," got destroyed on Twitter and apologized the very next day. They killed him on Twitter the next day. A white person who is apologizing for their whiteness because the critical race theories and these books that are coming out and all this stuff that's coming out has white people thinking like, damn, I must be racist. I didn't even know I was racist. I never said negative thing towards black people. I got black friends, work with black people work for me. I work for black people, but I must be racist based on the way these books are written. I never even knew I was racist. They're coming out apologizing for being white. So what these race hustlers are doing is taking these white people who feel guilty about being white, afraid of saying or doing anything that might get them labeled racist and thus canceled. And they are making these white people pay for their sins of whiteness by sponsoring programs, giving these people book deals, paying them to get advertising campaigns. This is a whole business ecosystem that these people have put together, and this is what the race hustler is doing these days. And I'm gonna get to why there's an issue about the race hustler that you have to be aware of. I'm not even gonna say it's right or wrong, but I just want to point out what the issue is with the race hustler. These race hustlers out here these days are getting speaking gigs, book deals, advertising campaigns. I seen a commercial the other day with one of these race hustlers. All right, all these things are happening on the backs of, again, scared white people. This is not, the whole race hustle is not about black people at all. And here's the issue with the race hustler, because the activist was supposed to be doing things to help people. Like Martin Luther King was about uplifting the black community in whatever way he wanted to do it. He had his way, was the civil rights movement. Malcolm X was about that as well. He had his way, which he called it by any means necessary. He changed his views over time as he evolved, and he had different ways of going about it. But both of those guys were seriously about, I think everyone can agree, whether you lean more towards Martin or more towards Malcolm, we can all agree that they were both really about, how do I help my people? They had different ways of doing it, but that's what they were about. The race hustler is not about helping their people as much as they are about helping themselves. That's why they're a hustler. And that's the big difference between an activist and a hustler. A hustler is about helping themselves first and helping everybody else later. And a hustler is about, an activist is about helping the community first, helping themselves last. A hustler is about helping themselves first, and if they happen to help the community in the process, actually, here's what the race hustler does. Then this is what makes them so smart, so slick, is that they are helping themselves, but they make it seem like every step they take, they seem like they're helping the community, but they're actually not. They're really just helping themselves and filling up their pockets. And again, I'm not knocking their hustle. Listen, if you can make money legally, you make money legally doing what you got to do. It's just, I just want to make sure you are not being bamboozled by the race hustler. So here's the thing with the race hustlers is, while every single thing they say and do is allegedly to help the community and help people that look like them or do the same thing as them, the whole time, all they're doing is leveraging the fear. They're leveraging anything they could come up with to keep people like you engaged and excited in whatever it is that they have to say. And the biggest problem with the race hustle is that, let's just talk black and white. A black race hustler, every single day, this is what they do. They get on social media, or they get on the newspapers, or wherever they get their information. They get it from wherever they can get it, to find anything that will keep other black people, their followers, all right, their congregation, their sheep, to keep these people engaged and feeling as if they are victims by being black, as if somebody white has done something wrong that they can be attacked for, as if somebody black has done something wrong that they can be attacked for. And this is all they do every single day, all day. This is all they do. They just look for it all day, because every time they find a new story, what does that do? They post it up on their pages. They get all their sheep in their congregation excited about it. Those people go running and talking about it, and that person continues to get attention. This is their whole hustle. And as long as there's anything that they can find, or anything that they can find, take it out of context, they can twist something around, make it sound something other than what it actually is. As long as they can keep their followers engaged with anything that involves race, that makes the black person feel like a victim and the white person is somehow wrong, they will keep doing this forever. That's why it's a great hustle. This is a beautiful business idea, beautiful business concept, what the race hustler is doing. And again, I'm not even saying, this is not a tongue-in-cheek thing. I'm not even trying to be sarcastic. I'm just showing y'all what the game is, because I want to make sure you're not getting bamboozled, unless you want to be bamboozled. If you want to, there are many willing idiots out here who want to be bamboozled. If you want to be bamboozled, that's fine. Just know what game you in. Just know who's being hustled. As they say, you're sitting at the poker table after 20 minutes, you don't know who the sucker is, that means you're the sucker. So just know what that hustle is, know what these people have going on, and make sure you are not getting the wool pulled over your eyes by people who are making it seem like they're doing something for the community, but they're actually not. And here, let me tell you why the race hustler is actually hustling. Why this hustle just is a perpetual thing. It's not about actually helping the community. Because see, here's the thing. See, if Martin Luther King or Malcolm X had not passed away, let's say neither one of them had gotten murdered, and they had continued to push their plans the way they planned on pushing them, eventually, fewer and fewer people would have needed Martin Luther King's message, because he would have indoctrinated everybody. He had a plan for what he was going to do. Eventually, everybody wouldn't need him so much anymore, because he made everyone self-sufficient based on his plan. based on the plan for civil rights and equal rights and people being judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Malcolm X, the same thing. Again, he had a different approach, but he was going for the same aim, trying to help black people be self-sufficient, do for self, be self-determinant, and eventually we wouldn't need to hear Malcolm giving a speech every week and pointing out something that a white person did wrong and this and that. Eventually we wouldn't need it anymore, because he would have made everyone in the community understand his doctrine and his message, and we would have been good. Like, thank you, Malcolm, for everything you taught us. Now we could do it on our own. We don't need him as much anymore. The whole purpose of teaching people and training people is like when you go to school, or any of you ever signed up for an online course or had a mentor or something like that. Eventually you get to a point where you no longer need the teaching of that individual, because they got you to the place that you needed to be. For some people it's less time, some people it's more time. Eventually they get you to the place where you need to be, and then you move on to where you don't need them anymore. That's the whole purpose of training someone and teaching them. The race hustler's job is to do the exact opposite, is to keep you needing them forever, because as long as you need them, you got to keep following them, you got to keep liking their stuff, you got to keep reading their books, you got to keep signing up for whatever they're offering, and they keep making money. That's their hustle. The hustle is you keep needing them over and over again. Look at some of the classic race hustlers. The most famous one, I guess we know, would be Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton been race hustling for as long as I've been damn alive. All right, how you race hustling for 40 years and ain't made nothing better? How you been race hustling 40 years and ain't figured nothing out? We just still need him. Every time something happens to some black person, it's a high profile thing, Al Sharpton's the first person to show up with a podium giving a speech about how somebody did something wrong towards a black person. How you been having the same problem for 40 years? And he ain't. What solutions has Al Sharpton brought to the table? Can somebody help me out? What solutions has he brought to the table? What issues has he solved? Now I know what issues he's pointed out. Tell me what he's solved. Tell me what resolutions has Al Sharpton created and put into place to the point that he would never need to come back to that situation ever again. Can you name one? You probably can't, and that's by design, because Al Sharpton is a race hustler. And now Al Sharpton's a little bit older now. He's probably in his 60s, 70s, something like that. Probably something around there. So now he has a whole bunch of disciples, and there's way more of them now, because now we got social media, so it's easier to spread the message. So he has all these disciples, like the Al Sharpton tree, race hustler tree. And all these people are popping up, and there's more of them popping up right now. And this is the whole game that they're playing on you, on the very people that they're supposed to be serving. This is the game that they're playing right now. I just want to make sure that you don't get hustled. Know what the game is. Know how people are trying to use you. This whole thing is not about helping you. It's about helping them, and anything that they can leverage in order to help themselves, they will use it. Why? Because that's what a hustler does. The very ethos of being a hustler is that you take anything that is in your environment that you can use and leverage towards furthering your own personal goals, your own personal agenda, and you use it. That's what a hustler is supposed to do, right? These people are hustlers. They just happen to be using race. Some hustlers use music, some hustlers use school, some hustlers use, there's some kind of other entertaining talent, some hustlers use drugs. These hustlers are using race. All right, there's just a new hustle, just a new way to get it done. And this is legal. This is the game. Again, this is not to knock these people. This is just pointing out what the hustle is. I just want to make sure you don't get hustled. This is a business lesson. Consider it that. If you want to get your free copy of this book, I'll give it to you free. All you do is cover the shipping. Go to mirrorofmotivation.com. I'll give you the book free. Just cover the shipping. Help us out. And send me a text, 305-384-6894. Tell me the most valuable insight you got from this, or anything you're going to think or do differently based on what you heard right here. Work on your game. Dre, all